The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent. A kind of silence that made even the stars outside seem afraid to shine. Thousands of alien delegates sat in curved rows, their glowing eyes and strange faces turned toward a single empty chair. The human chair. It had been empty for 2 years. 2 years since humanity walked out. 2 years since they had said only 4 words before leaving. We are done talking. No one forgot those words. Now, as the council met again, fear crept through every corner of the Great Hall. Something had changed in the galaxy. Trade routes were collapsing. Pirate fleets were vanishing. Entire warlords were surrendering before any battle began. And no one knew why. Only whispers traveled between the species. Whispers about them, about the humans who had left the table. Ambassador Threx of the Varnix Empire broke the silence. His scales flickered nervously. "We must send a delegation," he said. "We cannot allow them to remain in isolation. They were partners once, partners," hissed the crystal-like voice of the Lumian speaker. "Partners do not abandon the council. They do not vanish behind a wall of silence. The humans warned us," murmured an older voice, were the Corran elder, her long mandibles trembling. "They said we would regret it." We laughed at them. Yes, they had laughed. When humans demanded protection for the small frontier worlds, the council had voted no. When humans asked for fair resource laws, the council had mocked their primitive morals. When humans stood up for the enslaved species, they were called emotional. And then one day, they stood up and walked away. No one expected them to actually leave. No one thought they could survive without the council's protection or technology. But now the galaxy was learning the truth. Humanity didn't just survive. They adapted. They changed the balance of power. In the far corners of space, ships with no markings were seen. Silent, fast, and invisible to scanners. Planets once ruled by crime were suddenly free. Entire slave colonies disappeared overnight, replaced with new governments. Every investigation found only one clue: a single human insignia burned into the ground, a broken chain. The council didn't know if it was vengeance or justice. But they knew one thing: it was spreading. Far from the council, in the dark edges of space, Captain Mara Ellison watched from the bridge of the Sparrowhawk. The ship was small, human-built, and deadly. Around her, her crew worked in silence. "Target confirmed," said her pilot, Dax. "Slave convoy, 3 ships. No escort." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Same markings as last time?" "Same," Dax said quietly. "Varnix logo, black market route." Mara exhaled slowly. "All right. Standard procedure. No survivors in command." The ship moved like a shadow through the void. No lights, no signals. The humans didn't need them anymore. When the Sparrowhawk struck, it was silent and fast. Beams of blue fire tore through the convoy's hulls. Within seconds, the enemy ships were floating debris. Inside one of the wrecks, hundreds of alien slaves stared in shock as the blast doors opened. A human in black armor stepped through, holding a single glowing beacon. "You're free," the human said softly. "We'll take you home." And then he vanished. Back in the council hall, panic was growing. Reports poured in from every sector. Varnix fleets destroyed, criminal cartels wiped out, old wars ending overnight. "It's them," shouted one delegate. "The humans. They're waging war in the shadows." "No proof," said another, trembling. Ambassador Threx slammed his clawed hand on the table. "No proof? Their symbol has been found on every destroyed fleet. Who else could it be?" The Lumian speaker's body glowed with anxiety. "If the humans have turned into zealots, they must be stopped. We should send a strike force." The Corran elder gave a bitter laugh. "Stopped? You forget what they are. When humans decide something, they don't stop." The words hung heavy in the air. Outside, a message pulse echoed through the galaxy. It was human in origin, the first signal from them in 2 years. Every communication relay lit up at once, carrying the same cold message. The council failed the innocent. Now humanity will not. The signal ended. Every species that received it felt the same thing: fear. On a hidden moon, deep within an asteroid field, Captain Mara stood before a hologram. A familiar face flickered into view, an older man, sharp-eyed, wearing no rank insignia. "Admiral," Mara said, standing straight. The man studied her. "Another convoy?" "Yes, sir. 3 ships. Rescued 200 lives." He nodded slowly. "Good, every life counts." But they'll notice soon. They already have, she said. Council chatter is increasing. The Admiral looked out at the stars. Then it's time. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. Mara hesitated. Are we sure, sir? Once we start, there's no going back. He turned to her, eyes cold but proud. They left us no choice. The Council betrayed what we stood for. Now we show them what humanity truly is. He paused, voice lowering. We don't conquer. We liberate, and they'll learn that freedom has a price. The hologram faded. Mara stared at the empty space where the Admiral had stood. The hum of the ship filled the silence. She looked at her reflection in the glass. Tired eyes, scarred face, but unbroken will. Outside, her crew prepared for launch. Engines glowed like blue fire. Humanity had left the table. But they hadn't left the galaxy. They were just getting started, and the galaxy was about to learn what happens when humanity stops asking for peace. The void outside the hidden human base was silent, but the tension inside was thick enough to slice with a knife. Mara Ellison moved through the corridors of the Sparrowhawk, her boots echoing against metal floors. She passed crew members checking weapons, monitoring star maps, and preparing for the first full strike against the Council's strongholds. Every face showed the same resolve. Humans didn't hesitate, but they calculated. In the command room, a massive holographic map of the galaxy hovered mid-air. Red dots marked enemy fleets. Blue dots marked liberated systems. Mara traced a red dot with her finger. This one is the Varnix homeworld fleet. Fully armed, but their captains are inexperienced. Not for long, Dax said. His fingers danced over the controls. They'll get reinforcements from the Council in less than 20 standard hours. Mara clenched her jaw. Then we strike fast. Precision over numbers. We do what humans do best. Thousands of light years away, the Council was in chaos. Each species argued over what to do about the humans. Some wanted a diplomatic mission, others demanded immediate retaliation. No one knew who truly led the human operations. The name Mara Ellison had surfaced in whispers, but she was just a captain, a shadow among shadows. They are ghosts, said Ambassador Threx. We cannot touch them. Every fleet we send is destroyed or disappears. And yet, he shivered. We cannot ignore them either. They are rewriting the rules of the galaxy. The Lumian speaker floated higher, her crystalline body trembling. We made them weak and they were weak, but now they are something else entirely, something terrifying. And yet they do not conquer. The Koran elder reminded them. Every liberated world reports no human government. No taxes, no authority, but only freedom. That is what scares the Council the most. Silence fell. The realization spread. Humanity's power wasn't in fleets or weapons. It was in something older, something more dangerous. Back on the Sparrowhawk, Mara received a secure message from the Admiral. His holographic face appeared stern as ever. Phase 2 begins tonight, he said. The Council will attempt to stop us. We will show them the cost of betrayal. Mara, your mission is simple. Strike at the heart of the Varnix fleet and free every enslaved world in this sector. You will face traps, ambushes, and deception. Do not underestimate them. Mara nodded. Understood, sir. What about the Council fleets? They will come. They always do. That's why timing is everything. Humans act in ways they cannot predict. Remember, we do not fight for victory alone. We fight for what is right. The hologram flickered out. Mara turned to her crew. Tonight we go in. Remember, precision, speed, and discretion. No unnecessary violence. We liberate, nothing more, nothing less. As darkness fell over the Varnix sector, human ships moved like shadows through asteroid belts and uncharted jumps. Mara's squadron split into 3 groups, each taking different approaches. Every movement was calculated, every ship silent. When they reached the first convoy, the attack was lightning fast. Red alerts blared across enemy control panels as human boarding pods dropped from stealth ships. Aliens scrambled to defend their cargo, only to find the doors already open. The humans moved like lightning, using non-lethal restraints wherever possible. Slaves looked on in awe and fear. They had expected death, but humans brought freedom. Mara herself led the final boarding party. She moved with silent steps, rifle raised, eyes scanning. We take the command deck, she whispered. No mistakes. Follow my lead. The doors hissed open, revealing the command bridge. Officers froze at the sight of humans, no fear, only determination. Mara's team subdued them quickly, leaving no chance for alarms. From the bridge, she activated the beacon, the same glowing symbol humans had left across liberated worlds. A broken chain. Its light shone across the ship, signaling freedom to the captives. For the first time, the slaves saw a glimpse of hope. Meanwhile, the Council received the first reports. The Varnix fleet was gone. No trace remained. Panic erupted. "They are too organized," said Ambassador Threx. "Impossible coordination. They move faster than we can react." "They are human," said the Koran elder quietly. "That is the difference. No other species thinks like this. No other species sacrifices for others the way they do. They are unpredictable." The Lumian speaker glared at the reports, her body shimmering in anger. "Unpredictable, yes, dangerous and merciless in their own way. Yet they do not kill for conquest. They kill only to liberate. This is madness." Madness, yes, but to the humans it was strategy. It was justice, and the galaxy had no answer for it. Hours later, as the freed slaves left the destroyed Varnix ships aboard human transports, Mara walked alone through the corridors of the Sparrowhawk. Her mind raced with the knowledge of what was coming next. The Council would not let this continue. They would strike back. Mara knew it. She had seen the intelligence reports. Entire fleets were already moving toward human space, but she also knew something else. Humans were never truly alone. Every liberated species, every freed planet, every grateful voice strengthened them. Humanity didn't rely on rules. They relied on courage, on ingenuity, and on a will no enemy could ever predict. She paused at the observation deck, looking at the stars. "They think leaving the table makes us weak," she murmured. "They will learn the truth. Humanity does not leave. Humanity prepares." The hum of the engines filled the silence. Outside, the stars blurred as the ship jumped to warp. The Council had begun to realize it too late. Humanity was back, stronger, faster, and more relentless than ever, and the galaxy was already paying the price. The Admiral's hidden base lay on a remote asteroid far beyond the gaze of the Council. It was a place humans called Haven, though it looked like nothing more than jagged rock floating in space. Mara Ellison stepped off the transport, her boots crunching against the uneven surface. The windless air carried only the cold hum of the base's systems. "Another quiet day," muttered Dax, scanning the perimeter. "Too quiet." Mara didn't reply. She had learned long ago that quiet was dangerous. When humans operated in silence, the galaxy trembled. Inside the base, the corridors twisted like the roots of an ancient tree. No one spoke above a whisper. Every crew member knew the importance of secrecy. Every step could decide the fate of entire planets. In the command room, the Admiral waited. His figure was shrouded in shadows, but his eyes shone with the intensity of 1,000 storms. "You're late," he said, voice calm but sharp. Mara bowed slightly. "Traffic, sir." "Nothing more." The Admiral ignored her words. "Phase 3 begins tonight," he said. "The Council will strike first, of course." "They always do. They cannot comprehend that humans plan decades ahead, not hours. Mara, the galaxy is about to see what leaving the table truly costs." Mara's stomach tightened. "What exactly is Phase 3? The Admiral stepped closer, and his shadow stretched across the room like a dark tide. "Information, secrets, lies the Council has hidden for centuries. Planets enslaved, fleets manipulated, resources stolen. The galaxy will awaken to the truth, and humans will deliver justice." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "But it will not be easy. The Council is prepared. They will fight." Mara swallowed. "We're ready." "We always are." The Admiral smiled faintly. "Not just ready, exceptional. Remember this, Mara. Humans do not fight because they must. They fight because they will. That difference, that is why the galaxy fears us." Far away in the Council's war room, panic escalated. Reports streamed in from every sector. Fleets destroyed, colonies liberated, information leaked. Entire systems that had once served as covert bases for the Council's operations were now free. Ambassador Threx slammed his clawed hand against the table. "How is this possible? Every fleet we send is defeated. Every planet we control disappears overnight." "They are ghosts," hissed another delegate. "Impossible to track, impossible to predict. The humans move like shadows, strike like lightning." The Lumian speaker's voice cut through the room. "And yet they do not conquer. They do not establish dominion. They liberate and vanish. It is maddening." The Koran elder, her mandibles trembling, added quietly, "Maddening, yes, but clever." They have forced the galaxy to see itself, and it hurts the Council more than any weapon ever could. Back at Haven, Mara watched a holographic display. Each dot on the map represented a human mission: fleets, intelligence operations, and rescue efforts. Every red dot was a potential strike against the Council. Every blue dot a freed world. Dax leaned over her shoulder. "Phase 3 hits tonight?" "Yes," Mara replied. "Information campaigns, strategic strikes, and simultaneous rescues. The Council won't know what hit them until the galaxy itself rises against them." A sudden alert blared. "Unidentified vessel approaching, cloaked signature detected." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Scan everything. Now." The readouts revealed a small Council scout ship, likely sent to monitor Haven. Mara motioned to her crew. "Prepare a decoy. Let them think they've found us. Then we vanish." The humans moved like a well-oiled machine. Pods detached, engines flared, and the scout ship's sensors were overwhelmed by false signals. By the time the Council realized the deception, the humans were already gone. Mara allowed herself a brief smile. They never learn. As night fell over Haven, the Admiral summoned Mara to a secure chamber. Inside, walls were lined with ancient data cores, remnants of human history and technology, secrets collected over centuries. "These contain everything," the Admiral said. "Council plans, military secrets, histories of enslaved worlds, and most importantly, proof of every lie they've told. Phase 3 will expose them. Mara, you will lead the first strike." Mara's hands clenched. "And the Council? They will try to stop you. They will underestimate you. And when they do, you will remind them who left the table." A sudden alarm shook the base. Mara rushed to the observation deck. Outside, multiple Council warships were converging. Their weapons glowed with lethal intent. "They found us," Dax said, tension in his voice. Mara exhaled slowly. "Good, let them come. Tonight, the galaxy watches. Humanity strikes again." The crew moved to battle stations. Mara's eyes met theirs, determination mirrored in every face. They were tired, scarred, and tested by countless missions. But they were human, and humans never gave up. Outside, the Council's fleet opened fire. Lasers and missiles streaked across the void. But the humans were already gone, vanished into the darkness, leaving only confusion and destruction behind. And somewhere in the shadows, the Admiral's plan unfolded. The galaxy would soon understand that humanity's departure from the Council table was not abandonment. It was the beginning of reckoning. Mara watched the stars, her reflection in the glass showing her face, tired, fierce, and unyielding. The humans had left the table years ago, but now they were writing the rules of the galaxy. The Council thought they had control. They thought humanity was weak. They were wrong, and the galaxy was about to pay the price. The Council was furious. For the first time in centuries, their authority was questioned. Not just questioned, but shattered. Ships that had been untouchable were destroyed. Worlds that had been enslaved were free. Every corner of the galaxy whispered the same chilling truth. Humans had returned. Ambassador Threx slammed his clawed hand on the Council table. "We cannot let this continue. Every fleet we send is annihilated. Every plan we make undone." The Lumian speaker's crystalline form glimmered with anger. "It is not simply destruction. They are exposing us, Threx. Every secret we have tried to hide. Now the galaxy sees it, and still they do not conquer. They liberate. That is the greatest insult." "They are ghosts," another delegate shouted. "We cannot touch them." The Corran elder, quiet until now, spoke, her mandibles clicking. "They are more than ghosts. They are mirrors. Humans force the galaxy to face its sins, and no one likes looking in that mirror." The Council realized they had no choice. They would strike. Full force. They would show humanity that leaving the table had consequences. Back at Haven, Mara Ellison watched the stars from the observation deck. Every sensor on the base screamed warnings of incoming fleets. Council ships were converging faster than ever. Dax approached, eyes flicking over the readouts. "They're sending everything they've got. At least 5 full fleets, Mara." Mara's jaw tightened. "Good, let them come. Tonight we make history." A sudden comm alert rang out. The Admiral's holographic face appeared. His expression was calm, but his eyes held the weight of countless battles. "Phase 4 begins tonight," he said. "The Council will try to crush us with numbers. That is why humans must strike with precision. Mara, you lead the outer strike teams. Hit supply lines, sabotage communications, free prisoners. Every move must be perfect. One mistake and the galaxy may lose this chance at liberation. Mara nodded. Understood, sir. We won't fail. The Admiral's image flickered. Humans do not fail. Remember, we fight not for power, but for what is right. And the Council will learn that leaving the table has a price. Hours later, Mara led a fleet of stealth ships through the asteroid belt surrounding the Varnic sector. The silence of space pressed in on them, but every human aboard moved with calm precision. Sensors show the first convoy, Dax said. No escorts yet. Mara's eyes narrowed. Perfect. Deploy boarding teams. Strike fast. Leave no trace. Human pods detached from the ships, sliding silently toward the enemy vessels. The first boarding team hit a supply ship, neutralizing alarms before any weapons were fired. The enslaved crew watched in awe as humans moved with unmatched efficiency, freeing them without hesitation. They're freeing us? Whispered one alien. I thought we would die. Mara's voice came over the comm. You are free. Follow the humans and you will survive. Within minutes, the supply convoy was in chaos, with slaves liberated and ships sabotaged. Mara's team moved on to the next target. Meanwhile, the Council's main fleets advanced. They expected resistance, but nothing could have prepared them for the human strategy. Every ship that fired weapons at the human fleet either missed completely or was destroyed before it could act. The humans seemed to anticipate every maneuver, every calculation, every attack. Ambassador Threx ground his claws in frustration. Impossible. They should be overwhelmed. They cannot survive this many fleets. They are not like any species we know, said the Lumian speaker. Their tactics are unprecedented. They fight with brains, with courage, and with a moral code that blinds us. Every strike feels like justice, not war. The Koran elder's voice was low, almost a whisper. And yet we call them dangerous, because they do not act for themselves. They act for others. That is the true power of humans. Back at Haven, Mara received an encrypted message from the Admiral. Council fleets will attempt a blockade, his voice warned. Phase 5 depends on speed and secrecy. Mara, you are humanity's edge tonight. Failure is not an option. Mara's hands tightened around the console. We'll be ready, sir. We always are. Outside, the stealth ship slipped past the Council's sensors, moving like shadows through the chaos. Mara's team struck at communication hubs, disrupted warp lanes, and liberated colonies in the outer rim. Each world freed became another arrow in the galaxy's story, a message that humans do not forget injustice, and that freedom carries a price. As Mara prepared for the next strike, she looked out at the stars. The galaxy was watching. The Council believed they held control, but humans had already rewritten the rules. And tonight, the price of leaving the table would be counted in light years, in freed lives, and in the terror of those who thought humans could be ignored. By the time the Council realized what had happened, the humans were gone, vanishing like ghosts, leaving only confusion and destroyed supply lines in their wake. Ambassador Threx banged his claws against the table. How is this possible? They cannot be stopped. They can, the Koran elder said quietly, but not by fleets or weapons, only by understanding what makes them human, and that we may never do. The Council sat in silence, their power shaken, their authority questioned, and their fear of humanity growing with every liberated world. On Haven, Mara walked through the corridors, watching her crew prepare for the next wave. Exhaustion and determination were etched on every face. Humans were tired, but their resolve never wavered. The Admiral appeared on the central console, his eyes fierce. Tomorrow we strike the heart of the Council's fleets. Tonight we remind the galaxy why humanity left the table. They will see the cost, and they will remember it forever. Mara nodded. Then let's make history. Outside, the stars were silent witnesses to humanity's return. Ships glinted in the distance, moving with purpose, leaving the Council to wonder how such a species could be so unstoppable. Humanity had left the table years ago, but now, the galaxy would pay. The heart of the Council lay in a system so heavily fortified that few dared speak of it aloud. Planets surrounded by fleets, orbital weapons platforms, and impenetrable shields formed a cage meant to hold power in place. But the humans did not fear cages. They shattered them. Mara Ellison stood on the bridge of the Sparrowhawk, staring at the holographic projection of the Council's core system. Each red dot on the map represented fleets, weapons platforms, and council bases. The numbers were staggering, enough to make most species surrender before even engaging. "Are we seriously going in?" whispered Dax, scanning the fleet. Mara's eyes narrowed. "We've been preparing for this our whole lives. The council believes they are untouchable. Tonight they learn otherwise." The crew's quiet determination filled the room. Humans did not panic. They adapted. They calculated. And they acted with courage no algorithm could predict. Deep within Haven, the Admiral's holographic form appeared beside Mara. His expression was calm, but his eyes carried a storm of purpose. "This is the final strike," he said.
Phase 5. You will penetrate the Council's defenses, liberate captive worlds at the center, and expose every secret they hide.
"Timing is everything. The fleet moves on your command," Mara nodded. "Understood, sir. What about casualties?" The Admiral's gaze was unwavering. "We avoid unnecessary losses. Humans fight to free, not to destroy, but expect resistance. They will not let us walk through their gates unchallenged." Mara took a deep breath. "Then we walk through anyway." The Sparrowhawk led the strike team into the system, slipping past outer patrols using stealth protocols humans had perfected over decades. Sensors detected dozens of council vessels closing in, but none could see the fleet moving in shadows. "Deploy boarding pods," Mara ordered. "Take the command platforms first, then move to the central worlds." The humans struck with surgical precision. Boarding teams infiltrated the enemy ships, neutralizing weapons and freeing enslaved officers who had once served the Council willingly. Confusion spread as human tactics tore apart the Council's control networks. Every world liberated sent pulses across the galaxy, a signal of hope, a message of warning. "They're unstoppable," whispered a freed Varnix officer watching humans work. "They are human," Mara replied softly. "We do not give up, and we do not wait for permission to do what is right." Council fleets scrambled to respond, firing weapons and sending reinforcements. Explosions lit the void as human ships dodged, weaving through lasers and missile fire with uncanny precision. Inside the Sparrowhawk, Mara gave calm orders. "Focus on communications and control nodes. Disable their command structure. We leave no chains unbroken." Pods landed on command platforms, doors burst open, and humans moved like shadows. Every officer captured was given a choice: fight and die, or surrender and be free. Many surrendered. None were enslaved. The Council's arrogance was their undoing. They had counted on fear to control the galaxy. But humans fought with something they could not calculate: empathy, courage, and unpredictability. Hours later, Mara stood on the bridge watching the Council's command worlds flicker under human control. Messages flowed from liberated planets, broadcasts of freedom, hope, and rebellion. The galaxy was awakening. Dax approached, awe in his eyes. They're surrendering?" Mara shook her head. "No, they're learning. Humanity does not conquer. We liberate, and the galaxy will remember this." A sudden alert blared. Mara's console displayed the Council's high command, sending their flagship into the heart of the liberated systems. The final battle was imminent. "Prepare for direct engagement," Mara said. "This is it. Everything we've done, every life we've saved leads to this moment. Humans do not leave the table. They own the game." The flagship emerged, massive and heavily armed, its weapons glowing with destructive power. Council admirals assumed it would be enough to crush the human fleet. It was not. Mara's team moved with unmatched coordination. Ships flanked the flagship while boarding pods infiltrated its interior. Human boarding teams disabled weapons, liberated prisoners, and transmitted proof of the Council's lies across the galaxy. On board, Mara herself led the final strike. She faced the high command in their council chamber, a dozen species who had ruled through fear for centuries. "They laughed at us," Mara said, her voice steady. "They mocked morality, ignored justice, and left the innocent to suffer. Today, they will learn that leaving the table has consequences." The council members scrambled, but it was too late. Human tactics were flawless. In minutes, every officer was subdued or surrendered. Screens across the galaxy displayed the truth: stolen worlds, enslaved species, and fleets used for oppression. For the first time, the galaxy saw the Council not as rulers, but as tyrants. As the flagship fell silent, Mara sent the final transmission. A single image burned across every system: the broken chain, symbolizing freedom and humanity's unwavering will. "This is the cost of leaving the table," her voice echoed. "We do not rule. We do not enslave. We liberate. Humanity stands always." The galaxy held its breath. Systems long oppressed erupted in celebration. Planets once in chains now declared independence. Fleet after fleet surrendered without a fight, knowing that humans fought not for power but for what was right. Mara stepped back, exhausted but resolute. The Admiral's voice came over the comm. "Well done, Mara," he said. "Humanity has rewritten the rules of the galaxy. But remember, freedom is a responsibility, not a gift. What we started today will echo for centuries." Mara nodded. "Then let it echo. Let the galaxy remember what happens when humans leave the table. And what happens when we return." The Council was defeated not by weapons alone but by humanity's courage, intelligence, and unwavering sense of justice. For the first time in eons, the galaxy was free, not under one rule but under many. And from the shadows, humans prepared for what came next. Because leaving the table had not been the end. It had only been the beginning. The galaxy had changed. Systems that once trembled under Council rule now celebrated freedom. Planets long enslaved rejoiced in independence. Trade routes opened. Old alliances were rewritten. Humanity had returned from the shadows and reshaped the stars. Yet Mara Ellison knew the work was not done. Liberation was only the beginning. Freedom was fragile, and the galaxy had learned what happened when humans left the table. But it had yet to learn what happened when humans stood at the center of justice. Haven, the hidden base, was alive with activity. Ships prepared to transport liberated populations. Data cores hummed with information, proofs of the Council's crimes and plans for rebuilding what had been lost. Mara walked the corridors, seeing the exhaustion and determination in every face. Humans were tired, yet every step they took carried purpose. Dax approached, a small smile on his face. "We did it, Mara. The Council fleets are surrendering. The central worlds are free. Everything is turning out as planned." Mara shook her head. "Not everything. Freedom without responsibility can crumble. The galaxy is watching, and if we leave now, the Council's influence may rise again." The Admiral's voice came over the secure comm. Calm yet commanding, it cut through the noise. "Mara, the Council is fractured. Planets and species are free, but humans must ensure the next step: stability. Strength without oppression, power without tyranny. That is our responsibility." Mara nodded. "Understood, sir. Humanity does not rule. We guide, we protect. We remind the galaxy what freedom truly means." Elsewhere in the Council's remnants, fear and despair spread like wildfire. Ambassadors and generals who had once controlled the galaxy found themselves powerless. The Varniks, Lumians, Corans, and dozens of other species faced a choice: adapt to the new order or crumble under it. Ambassador Threx paced in a ruined chamber. How could humans do this? They are not like us. They do not follow rules. They fight with courage and they fight with purpose. How do we survive against that? The Lumian speaker's voice echoed from across the room, bitter and trembling. They have not sought revenge. They have sought justice, and that is something we cannot defend against. The Coran elder, observing quietly, said softly, "Humans leave the table when betrayed. They return when the price is owed. We forgot this lesson. Now the galaxy pays, and they will continue to pay until balance is restored." Back at Haven, Mara reviewed reports from liberated worlds. Communications flooded in. Planets announcing self-governance. Slaves declaring independence. Fleets abandoning the Council. Every message carried the same underlying truth. Humanity's return had given hope, and hope was contagious. A sudden alert broke the calm. Mara's eyes scanned the readouts. A small fleet approached from deep space. Not hostile, but organized. Not Council, but unknown. "Unknown fleet entering our sector," Dax said. "No markings. No signatures. Should we hail?" Mara shook her head. "Not yet. Observe. Humans do not confront blindly. We calculate, we wait, we strike if necessary." The fleet slowed, and one ship detached, sending a signal. The Admiral's voice came through. "They are emissaries," Mara said. "From allied systems. They've seen what we've done and want to join. This is the moment we solidify the galaxy's new order." Human ships moved to meet the emissaries. No weapons were drawn. Humanity did not conquer, but they commanded respect. Systems that had lived in fear now followed by choice, not by force. Mara felt a quiet pride. She turned to Dax. "This is why we returned. Not for power, not for glory, but to remind the galaxy of what it can be. Courage, unity, and justice, Dax nodded. And the Council? They will rebuild, Mara said. But differently. They will learn what humans have always known. Leaving the table has consequences, and no species is untouchable when justice demands it. Weeks passed. Humanity became the silent guardian of the liberated galaxy. Ships patrolled not to conquer but to protect. Worlds once enslaved began forming alliances based on cooperation, fairness, and mutual respect. Mara watched from the Sparrowhawk, her reflection in the observation window a mix of fatigue and unwavering determination. The Admiral appeared, holographic, one final time. Mara, humanity has rewritten history. The galaxy will remember this era forever. But remember, freedom is fragile. Always be ready. Humanity does not leave the table, but we ensure that when we return, it is for justice. Mara nodded. Then we stay vigilant. Always. The Admiral's image faded, leaving only the stars. On a distant world, a young alien child looked up at the sky, pointing at a human ship soaring overhead. "They are amazing," the child whispered. "They fight for us even when we cannot fight for ourselves." And somewhere across the galaxy, millions echoed the sentiment. Humanity had returned not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as liberators. They had left the table once, but now, the galaxy knew. Never underestimate a species that values courage, intelligence, and justice above all. The humans had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to fight for what is right, and that lesson would echo for centuries. The galaxy was free, because humanity had returned.